Not the best fourth quarter in the world, but the Celtics have basically locked up the East. Payton Pritchard, Jaylen Brown, awesome. I'll talk about it all right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season, drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Beantown's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in locked on after. Karalis on the breakdown. Clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain J's, how we started, raising banners, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I got you covered every single day, plus bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends. So make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcast, however you're listening right now, or if you're watching, subscribe there on the YouTube channel. Get into the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. I used to play a long, long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics as a beat writer for Boston Sports Journal. So check my stuff out there as well. The Celtics beat the Milwaukee Bucks 122 to 119. A game that probably should have gone a little bit more smoothly down the stretch. Probably could have been a bigger win as far as point differential. But hey, look, let's start with this. It's a win. The Celtics are now the magic number to clinch the East is 3, but it's really kind of basically 2 because the Celtics, by virtue of this win, the best Milwaukee can do is tie the Celtics in the season series. So the head-to-head tiebreaker would be a wash. The division winners, they'd both be division winners, so that wouldn't be the tiebreaker. Then it goes to conference record, and the Celtics have 36 wins to Milwaukee's 30. So they're going to win the conference record tiebreaker. So essentially, even though it's not official, they essentially are going to win this tiebreaker, which means this is essentially a magic number of 2. And so the next combination of Celtics wins, win and loss from the Milwaukee Bucks is going to wrap up the East. So I guess I went out of order for my rundown over here on the left-hand side, over my left shoulder, the right-hand side of your screen. Wow, I am off to a great start. I am executing this podcast just like the Celtics executed in the fourth quarter. But let me just finish up the Eastern Conference thing. The Celtics, 11-game lead now with 13 games to play. So it's in the bag. It's in the bag. It's done as far as I'm concerned. And yeah, so the Celtics are not going to get caught. And I don't see. No, we didn't have an OKC game. So Celtics gain a half game on the Thunder in the overall seed chase. So that's going to be wrapped up pretty soon too. So the biggest thing for Boston is you now have the rest of this regular season to just kind of, try new things. This is going to be an interesting finish with 13 games left. They had on this road trip. So it'll be an interesting one. But anyway, fourth quarter, not great. So I got to shout out Jaylen Brown because after the game, he kind of called it out. He was asked a question. So it's not like he, got on the mic and he said, "Hey, I got something to say about our fourth quarter execution." He was asked about it, but I love what he had to say because the Celtics, the lead got up to 21. It was very, very similar to the Cleveland game. They early in the quarter built up this big lead. It looked like with Damian Lillard was on the bench. It looked like the Celtics had an opportunity with the star sitting on the bench to just hit a couple of shots, put this thing away, and they just didn't. And the Bucks got to come down and get into transition and at least come down and start running their offense and get cross-matched. And they started building some confidence. And the Celtics just got away from the things that were working. And Jaylen, after the game, talked about the fourth quarter and said it doesn't have to slow down. As long as you take care of the ball, you can still play with pace, still play with speed. We don't got to go into these slow isolation plays. We can still get out and run good offense and have pace. I think that's something we can definitely work on. Just because a game is in the fourth quarter doesn't mean we have to play slower. We just need to take care of the basketball, but we can still play with pace. Hallelujah, Jaylen Brown. The fourth quarter execution was not the best. Now, they did get some good looks and they missed some good looks. Derek White hit a couple of threes, but missed a couple of threes. They did get good shots, but also it was too slow. And the way I compared it, I wrote it on Boston Sports Journal. It's like taking a multiple choice test for the opposing defense. The Milwaukee Bucks all game long have had to take this multiple choice test each trip down the floor. And there are 5 answers, and it's not easy to pick between those answers. You can't just guess with the Celtics. Who are the 5 answers? Who do you pick? Who do you defend? Is it Porzingis? Is it Brown? Is it Tatum? Is it White? Is whoever's on the floor? And they didn't have Drew Holiday. They didn't have Sam Hauser. So not at full strength. And Milwaukee didn't have Giannis. But each trip down the floor for an opposing defense, it's a multiple choice test with 5 answers. And it's you there is no real right answer of who you guard. But when the Celtics slow things down, because you have wasted so much time, you've eliminated options. You've basically said, well, instead of 5 answers, you now have 2 answers. So now you can kind of guess. Now you can kind of load up and say, well, you've started your offense at like 10, 11 on the shot clock. So if you're going to make 1 or 2 passes, we know that within 10 seconds, you're going to have to do something. Versus when you get the ball up over the floor at 19, and then you start your offense in 19 seconds, anything can happen. The ball can be passed to 10 times in 19 seconds. So you don't know. But if you start your offense at half of that, then the options start to dwindle because you can only pass the ball so many times before shot clock. You have to get the shot off. It makes it easier. You reduce the amount of choices. So that's something that the Celtics absolutely have to work on. By the way, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 if your bet wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So the Celtics need to get into the habit of playing with pace down the stretch. I understand you have a lead and it's the fourth quarter and time is on your side. However, points are also on your side. And just because Milwaukee threw a weird, stupid 2-3 zone, which the entire time I was screaming at the TV, like, get somebody along the baseline, please. Can we have something on the baseline when they play this 2-3 zone the way they played it? Because there are opportunities there to get easy shots at the rim if you just understand the way they're playing it. In fact, let me take a second here. I'll get into it on the other side. That zone that Milwaukee played, it'll go down as being effective, but I think it absolutely sucked, and Boston missed so many opportunities. I hope Milwaukee plays that exact same defense in the playoffs if the Celtics meet them in the conference finals. I hope they play that again. I'll get into that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by Nissan. Are you the kind of driver that likes to push things a little further? Ever wonder what adventure could be around the next corner? Our friends at Nissan have a lineup of SUVs with the capabilities to take your adventure to the next level. The 2024 Nissan Rogue is perfect for city drives and great escapes. Class exclusive Google built-in is your always updating assistant to call on for almost anything. Gone are the days of connecting your phone. The Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store are all built right into a 12.3-inch HD touchscreen infotainment system. The 2024 Rogue is perfect as a perfect midsize crossover for your next adventure. Nissan's incredible lineup also includes the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder, which has room for up to 8, an expansive cargo capacity, an advanced available 4x4 capability with 284 horsepower and up to 6,000 pounds of towing. When adventure calls, the Pathfinder is there to answer. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop nissanusa.com. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney, whether you're betting on a big upset or a 1 seed. It's time to go dancing on America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on point spreads, money lines. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. And the best part about FanDuel is they have the tools to help you gamble responsibly, set your limits, set your goals, set all of that stuff, set your budget, and you can have fun gambling responsibly at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and you have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Don't do that. Make the switch to Locked On Sports today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel. It's there for you all day, every day on YouTube, or you can get it on the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. It's a really fun thing, and you can just leave it on all day long on YouTube or Amazon.com/LockedOnFireTV. All right, let's get back into this zone defense where the Bucks back line of the zone was in the middle of the lane, and I can't show it to you. I don't have the rights to show you all this stuff, so I can't really get into that. I'm sorry. Visually on YouTube, but I can describe it. The Celtics, the Bucks had that zone where the back line, there was a 2-3, and there was nobody beyond the middle of the lane. So I don't understand why you didn't just have a cutter along the backside, someone in the corner just cut. And instead of cutting to find a bucket, just come up and set a back screen on that guy in the middle and have someone like Porzingis set up in the middle and just use that back screen to go up for a lob. Like, it's like you could have done some simple things, some simple screens along the back line to free guys up for easy shots, to collapse a defense and pass it out. You didn't have to settle for some of the shots that you were settling for. And I think if the Celtics, I can only imagine what they're going to say when they see that on film. They will pick that apart. If Milwaukee does try that zone, and I don't even think this is going to be like, hey, let's throw this junk zone out there and see if we can't confuse them or set us up for making them work too hard for something we're not going to use in the playoffs. Who knows how they're going to deploy that thing? But it did disrupt. It will go down as being effective because it slowed Boston down, and they were already getting slow anyway. I'll tell you what, if you ever see in the fourth quarter guys like hurrying to get the ball over half court before the 8-second count, that's where the Celtics are screwed. They should never, ever, ever be rushing to get the ball over to beat the 8-second count. That should not happen. So you saw that a couple of times anyway. And then the zone slowed them down. And if you just take a look at it, and it's something the Celtics should be able to figure out in real time. I know I'm approaching this as if my tone is almost like they lost the game, and I'm certainly not trying to be that way, because to me, a win is a win, and I'm not sitting here going to be all negative over the fact that the Celtics won a game, but I am going to say that the fourth quarter execution was a little too lazy, and that zone was just kind of disappointing that the Celtics couldn't figure that out more quickly. And if they had just made a couple of baskets, they would have held off the Bucks. And who knows, maybe Dame doesn't even come back in, and this game goes much more differently. But it's something that, like I said, if the Bucks decide to throw that zone at Boston again, I guarantee you that within 3 possessions, that gets decimated if they try that again in the playoffs, or let's say late in the season. I don't know how that game late in the season is going to go. In fact, considering the fact that the Celtics are going to wrap up this Eastern Conference pretty soon, the next time the Celtics play the Bucks, I would sit everybody. That's a game where Svi Mikhailuk starts. You start like Jaden Springer starts that game. Like there's no reason to go at one another. We're done playing the Bucks. As far as I'm concerned, the Celtics are done playing the Bucks, because you gain nothing. You gain nothing from playing them at full strength again. So I would at this point say we're done. So who cares if they show that zone again in the regular season? It's all about the playoffs. They'll pick that apart. They should pick that apart, because that was a garbage zone. And as Scal said, Doc told them when he was coaching in 2008, when they're playing zone, it means they can't guard you. And that's true. They could not guard the Celtics. And then the Celtics did a nice job guarding themselves in that fourth quarter. But Jayson Tatum steps up. Like, you didn't like how they got to that point, that fourth quarter. But as I've said on this podcast multiple times, the clutch situations, that's something that you want them to work on as often as possible. So yeah, I would have preferred that they didn't get into that situation, but also they did. And it's not a bad thing that they got into that situation from the standpoint of, hey, here's another hard charging team. Let's see if they can figure out how to execute. And for what it's worth, after Bobby Portis made it a 3-point game, there's Tatum driving, getting a layup, driving, getting a foul, 2 free throws. He scored 8 points in the final 2+ minutes. And someone made a comment on Boston Sports Journal, like, yeah, but 4 of those were take fouls. But like, yeah, 4 of those were take fouls, but Tatum did put enough distance between them, so Milwaukee had to start fouling. Like, if Tatum didn't execute when he did and make it a 7-point game, then the spread never would have been big enough where Milwaukee only had fouls to give as their recourse to try to get back into the game. So I understand the reaction to say, yeah, he scored 8 points in the final couple minutes, but 4 of them came off of take fouls. Yeah, but if Tatum doesn't make those plays, there aren't take fouls to give. Milwaukee just plays defense. So it's all part of it. So credit to Boston for not letting it get to tie game. Milwaukee takes the lead, right? I just spent 15 minutes criticizing, or basically kind of being on the more negative tone because they didn't execute well down the stretch. However, they didn't let it get away from them. They didn't let it get away from them. They almost did, but hey, almost is not actually happening. And considering it's actually happened before, I'll take the almost as a step in the right direction. So that's where I think it's a little bit different. Payton Pritchard, we'll get to some individual performances. Payton Pritchard in the second quarter was off the charts. I'll talk about him in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, I know the benefits of therapy. I've gone through it myself and continue to, and I feel like it is a great benefit. Now, whether you want to get something big off your chest, small off your chest, just want to talk through some things, work through some longer lingering things, whatever it is, it's going to help for you to talk to somebody. The two biggest challenges to therapy are finding a therapist and finding the right therapist. Well, you don't have to drive around and find somebody in your vicinity because BetterHelp is all online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. You can find the right therapist because you can switch. If you find somebody after you fill out a questionnaire at betterhelp.com/lockedonnba, after you're matched with the therapist, if you don't click, and that's entirely possible, it happens. If you don't click, you switch. No extra charge, no nothing. That's the best thing about what BetterHelp can do for you. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. Online, designed to be flexible, suited to your schedule. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. You'll get 10% off your first month. BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA. Hope you enjoyed the Wednesday show with me and Jake Madison. I'll be back on Wednesday next week. I love being there for the Wednesday shows. We got rotating hosts all week long. So it's a good show. It's a good way to cover the league. It's fun. So I hope you check it out. However you're listening to this podcast is how you can listen to or watch Locked On NBA. Payton Pritchard was really good. His second quarter was amazing. Now, he finished with 19 points, 7 of 11 shooting, 5 of 8 from 3. He had 3 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 offensive rebounds, including one where he just ripped it away, came in basically under Brook Lopez's arm, ripped the ball away. The work that he puts in. Pritchard was just the energy that he brings, incredible. I've said many times, I admit that I wasn't sure how I'd said that his regular season would probably kind of not go as well as his preseason did, but he proved me wrong and continues to prove people wrong. And what's he going to be like in the playoffs? I don't know, but I can't sit there and just outright write him off because I know it'll be different in the playoffs, but he's continued to show that he can find a way to be effective on most nights. So Patrick Beverley comes in, hits Luke Cornett with a couple of the too small celebrations, which I'm a proponent of too small celebrations, but I think, I don't know, I think maybe just everything Patrick Beverley does rubs me the wrong way. So I understand where Pritchard saw that too small, was like, not on my watch. He had a couple of shots in Beverly's face, which is always fun. And yeah, he just kind of took over. He said he saw that. He took it personally. So Pritchard was spectacular. It's hard, as I said on Boston Sports Journal, it's hard to talk about Pritchard without using like cliches like, oh, he's got that dog in him. He just wants it more, blah, blah, blah. He just does. He just does want it more. That's what he wants. He just wants it more. That's Pritchard. He is a dog, man. That guy plays at a different speed and is, I don't know, man. He it's fun. It's fun to see him fired up and doing some of the things that he does. Obviously, Jayson Tatum had the big game, 31 points, 9 of 19, 4 of 7 from 3, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks, 1 very key block late in the game. That was a nice one. Weirdly, no shots in the third quarter. He said he was trying to be more of a facilitator and get other guys going. He had 23 in the first half. He had it going. And third quarter, look, the Celtics put up 32 points in the third quarter. So I'm not getting on Jayson Tatum for that. He did what he wanted to be a facilitator. Other guys did get going. I thought the third quarter was incredible for Boston. I think the third quarter was what the fourth quarter should have been. And the third quarter belonged to Jaylen Brown. And what I loved about the third quarter is they come out, Milwaukee gets hot right away. 4 straight three-pointers. The lead is cut down from 18 down to like 10 or less. I forget. But no panic. Celtics stay with it, run their normal offense, and eventually they push that lead back up to they push it up to 18-21 at one point just by let's just get to what our offense is. Not overreact. We're not going to try to match them for every three-pointer. It's not Dame hits one, and now here comes Boston. We got to hit one. Beasley hits one. Oh, here comes Jaylen Brown. We got to hit one. No, this was stay the course. Don't overreact. Run the offense, and they did. And Jaylen Brown got going in that third quarter, and he was awesome in that third quarter. I think Jaylen Brown, his evolution, and it's something I wrote about on Boston Sports Journal, his evolution is impressive. And I use the term evolution intentionally because I don't think this is just a guy that's out there fighting bad habits or trying to break bad habits. I think Jaylen has evolved. He has changed. He has grown into a more complete, just a different player. Just not opposite or like different. He's things have become second nature to him. These things that used to be bad habits, I think they've kind of like the evolution has kind of like whittled them away. I'm not as worried that he's going to fall back into old habits. I think he has evolved into a different player, a better player. I think that's part of his growth. Like he's just become this confident leader. My favorite thing, I tell you, my favorite thing from Jaylen Brown in this game came after the game, where he had that quote about playing with pace in the fourth quarter. That to me is my favorite thing about Jaylen because he's right. And he's not afraid to say that and not afraid to say it publicly and hold his team accountable to that. That's, I think, important. So I think Jaylen, with his calm execution, has grown into the sort of player that I think we've always wanted Jaylen to be. This is the best basketball of his career, and defensively taking on the challenge of Damian Lillard. Now you look at Dame's numbers and you say, what challenge he got? Lillard had 32 points, shot 52.5%, 6 of 10 from 3, but it was not the easiest night for him. It was a hard night for Lillard to get those points. He hit some ridiculous shots. He hit some incredible shots. He scored 32 points because he's Damian Lillard and he's awesome. And there's no defense that's going to stop Lillard when he's that hot. But I think Jaylen's just taking that challenge while also having the third quarter that he did, having the performance that he did. That's, I think, the impressive part. And so I think Jaylen has evolved into a better player. And like I said, evolution is an intentional term because this is who he is. It's in his DNA now. So shout out to Jaylen. Shout out to Kristaps Porzingis, who had a monster offensive rebound late in the game that just reaching back, coming in out of nowhere, snatching that rebound, going back up for the dunk. I was like, that, when we say big boy rebound, that's what we're talking about. A big boy rebound. That was incredible. He didn't shoot well, but he did those things, those little things. 3 rebounds, all offensive rebounds. That was really good to see. Al Horford, 8 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, plus 15. He and Shvi Mikhailuk actually was a plus 10, but Al Horford had the best plus minus of the night. Derek White, 23 points. Shout out to Derek White because he continues, like another 2 block shots for D White, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, and no turnovers for him. Celtics only turned the ball over 9 times. That's really good. And so anyway, Derek White, if fourth quarter hit some big shots. If the Celtics fourth quarter offense ends up leading to Derek White wide open shots like that, sign me up. Sign me up. If Tatum draws 2 and Jaylen draws attention and Derek White gets the looks that he got in this game, if that's what you get every fourth quarter, sign me up. So Celtics get the win. It was a good win. I mean, it's a good win in the fact that they didn't blow it. I didn't like the fourth quarter execution, but hey, it's something that's a work in progress. That part they have to work on. If they can just play with their normal pace, I think that'd be just fine. So Celtics now take a travel day, go to Detroit, back-to-back nights, Detroit and Chicago. I will give you post-game podcasts after both of those games. They'll be a little bit shorter because I don't have to do my ad reads, and it's the weekend. You probably don't want to listen to too much of me talking. So post-game podcasts, whenever those things are all set there, those games are done. So make sure that you are subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. And I would love it if you share the podcast, spread the word, tell your friends that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast. It's right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.
Yes. B. Thanks to Blockbuster Brand, it's holiday season, drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Deuce, still Big Town's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in Locked On after. Karalis on the breakdown. Clutch like a tip from D White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen of back bay, it's all C's nation. Bill Russell the Bird, Hondo the Rondo. KG in the truth, all the legends in the roof. 2 Tommy points for Reggie and DJ. IT, the killer with the big heart, was the hardest. Rainer J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.